Okay, I am ready.
Let it burn.
I'm ready.
Good evening. I'm Jerry McIntosh, and this is Our Voices, the People's Media. Tonight, we're going to talk about a lot of things that's going on uh, in our world and politics and some of the other things that's going on, like the 70-some lynching that has taken place since 2000. We're going to address that and other hot topics. First, we'll go to our host, Mr. Derek Scott. Can you hear me, Derek?
Okay. Yeah. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. Oh, sorry. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate you all joining us. We just concluded our first week of early voting, or only week, rather, I should say, of early voting. So the polls did close on yesterday at 5:30 p.m. here in Escambia County. I hope everybody had an opportunity to vote. But if you have not, which I know you have not, because we're looking at turnout, and turnout says that many of you have not yet voted. So the next and last opportunity you have to vote in the August election is this coming Tuesday, August the 18th. And so the polls will be open until 7 p.m. So please make sure that you get an opportunity to have your voice be heard and cast your ballot. I do see that our guest is with us today. So one of our guests is with us, rather. So I'm going to ask Jill if you would take the opportunity to introduce our guest for tonight.
Before you do that, Jill, let me introduce you, Jill. Jill Daggs, and one of our hosts, Mr. Vernon Watson, who is WBQP TV, where it is you're watching this show on Roku, Fire Stick, and YouTube, and of course all our Facebook pages. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Jill.
I'm not able to see Earl. Is he on? I see logged in, but
I'm not sure if he's on.
Is he on video or audio? Do you know?
I'm not sure. So should we just do our regular stuff until we find out, Derek?
Okay.
Well, I mean, you said you tell me what you want us to do.
Yeah. So go ahead. Let's do our regular stuff. Start with you, Jill.
Okay. Well, Derek kind of already told you about Escambia County, so we're just going to say in Okaloosa County. You also had the opportunity to go and early vote, and we would have hoped that a lot more people would have taken advantage of the opportunity where you don't have to try to figure out your polling location and you could just go to the 5 places that were open 10 until 6. That ended on Saturday. So I had a couple of people that I know that were like, oh, I'm going to go on Monday. No, you're not, because early voting is over. And the next time you can vote, and that you should vote, and I think Derek said it best. We absolutely know there's so many of you that still could get out and vote based on the numbers. That will be this Tuesday, August 18th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You will have to know where your voting location is. So you can go to the Okaloosa County Supervisor of Elections to get that information. I see that Fabulous Jermaine has joined us. Looks like Earl Ford is with us. We're going to have a great night. We're going to go over some difficult situations, but we're going to have a great night. So I think we're going to stop and kind of bring in our guests and do our thing. So I'm going to hand it back over to Mr. Scott.
Okay. Let's go ahead and first, while we're waiting on Mr. Earl Ford to join us, we will go ahead and get started with our program. And we have fortunate to have with us Mr. Jermaine Williams, who, as you all know, is running for mayor of the city of Pensacola. We have, again, Tuesday, August 18th. It's the last day to cast your ballot. And this is that opportunity. So we wanted to make sure you got an opportunity. If you have not heard from Jermaine, this is your opportunity now. So Jermaine, the floor is yours. Take it away.
How you doing? I'm happy to be here. I said that like it's my first time here. But I actually collect mail at this place, so it's all good. I'm Jermaine J. Williams. I'm running to be your next mayor of Pensacola. My focus is, well, first off, a little bit about me. I work in addiction and suicide prevention. I was named National Peer Specialist of the Year from the National Council for Mental Wellbeing. So pretty much that's like the equivalent of National Mental Health Worker of the Year. Um, my focus is to break the barriers for mental health access in Pensacola. Have workforce affordable housing. You're going to hear a lot of people talk about affordable housing, but they're not mentioning the name workforce affordable housing. And that is truly directed to the people that make this city run every day, make sure they're not priced out. Also, I want to, with the Roots program, I want to protect individuals in the city so they won't be priced out their homes, especially in those historic neighborhoods. There's been a big deal about that in East Hill. I want to protect all neighbors from getting priced out their homes. Um, Also, another thing is I want to have a safe place for our children. As you see, there's been all this boasting and talking about how Pensacola is the safest city according to whatever they want to say. But when you look at the news journal, when you look at the Facebook, when you see the RIPs, when you see WEAR, that tells a different story than what City Hall is telling you. And I want to get these kids something to do, especially the Juvenile Justice Center deemed that the hours between 6 and midnight as the most hotbed hours for young men and women to get in trouble. And, these rec centers close right about that time. We have to do something to fill that gap for parents that are working two jobs to make sure that they are not living on the street. And so we have to step in and try to help with those children. Also, the Pensacola Launch Initiative is a remote working initiative that I have. I actually live. The bulk of my money I make from the state of California. I take that money, I pump it into this local economy. We're out there, brick and mortar, coming here, rising up our property value and clogging up our roads. And I just think it's the quickest way to start getting individuals back on their feet economically with $50,000 to $150,000 jobs per year while we work on the long term. And then most importantly, I want to have transparency. I think we have all had enough of these backdoor dealings that is in the DNA of this city. It's since I was a child. You see the grays in my beard, and it's still corruption here today. And I'm here to stop that as well. And I have a full-fledged plan for that. If you're intrigued by anything I said, you could go to jermaine4mayor.com. We have two ways. There's an interactive kind of tab where you can kind of look at some of the things I just said, but it's broken down more. Or if you're a reader, download the 55-page governing plan and read how we're going to pay for it without raising your taxes. I know I said a lot. I take any questions you may have.
So I guess I'll go first. For those who, it's today is Sunday, right? So for those who may not have the opportunity to download the 55 pages and read them in time to go and vote on Tuesday, right? Mm-hmm. What's your synopsis? What can people expect of you if you were to become mayor from an economics standpoint? How will you move the city forward?
Well, from an economic standpoint, I want to make sure that Pensacoleans get jobs. You can bring down all these big jobs that we've seen in the headlines, but there's no clear-cut plan of how Pensacoleans are going to get those jobs. So, with that remote work from home initiative, what we have done, we have already started talking to tech companies out of Nashville that doesn't want to go the Silicon Valley route. And these are tech companies that are making a lot of money, and they want to come to a city like ours and start to, breed their testing grounds with a promise of hiring Pensacola first. And we're not talking about 20 to 25 jobs for individuals. We want to really just have that stable workforce for a lot of the population. And, I believe that there are ways that we could bring high paying jobs here. They all don't have, because, all I keep hearing about from two of these opponents is deport, twit bash. A lot of re-entry people won't be able to get those jobs. You know how much you got to go through to get a TWIC badge if you got something on your background? And if someone has paid their debt to society, I am a walking second chance. I'm a walking third, fourth, fifth, and 55th chance. But when I got it right, I knocked it out the park. And I'm this close to becoming your next mayor because somebody invested in me. Not one person, because I had a praying grandmother. I have one of the best families in Pensacola. I got people surrounding me that love me. But it was somebody that was outside the panhandle that said, I'm going to be responsible with my mental health dollars, pour it into you. And then I brought what they put into me back to Pensacola because Pensacola wouldn't pour it into me. I'm bringing the heart back to City Hall and bringing that kind of love that I got from an entity that have state dollars and went out and found the grant dollars to put back into their citizens to better just the overall situation. And that's what I want to do here. And that's including the economic. There's always a way. There's always a way, because I tell you this, you can think about the port all you want. That's all we've been hearing. And that tells you what population of these jobs, if they do hire Pensacola, who they are targeting for them jobs.
Jermaine, on the hiring side of it, as mayor, what would you do to make sure those individuals you're talking about that has some kind of record or something that may hinder them from getting jobs elsewhere, how would you do that? And will it be legal to make sure that people with a felony or something like that to get hired?
Yeah, well, the first thing I would do is start with what I control, and that's the city of Pensacola, and make sure we do our best to loosen up some of them things that some of the stuff that restricts individuals from getting those jobs. As far as anything that may have to do with working within the city, but as far as what can I do outside of what I control? That's something, one of those rare things you just really got to wait till you get in there, talk to the city attorney and all those things. But what I can tell you is who I am, who I've been, the person I am, what I've been advocating for, how hard I have worked for Desmond Meade in this area to put Amendment 4 on the ballot. I was down there at the watch party when we passed that in Orlando because I worked so hard on that. So this is the same person that be sitting in that mayor's seat. Now, I can't tell you what I'm going to do today, but what I can say today is that I'm going to fight like hell to make sure you get everything that you deserve, the fair shot that everybody else get. And I'm sorry for saying hell on a Sunday. I'm sorry.
No,
away.
We good. We good. Jill, yeah, do you?
I'm your favorite fan. I just want
Hey,
you to know.
Jill.
I'm in Okaloosa. I can't vote for him, but if I was in Pensacola, I'm telling you, if I didn't vote for nobody else, I would vote for you. I would vote for everybody that I'm supposed to, but that's my number one.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not in Pensacola. So what I would say to the listening audience is that I have had the opportunity to see Jermaine flourish, like grow and become powerful and drop mic statements, but not just statements, but action items, processes, procedures. And so I think this is what Pensacola needs, and they just need to be ready. Because when you're in there, things are going to happen, and it's not going to be just talk. And it's not just going to be for certain people. And so my first question, it's really not a question, but I think it'd be good for you to explain, because I know that there's someone out there that's watching right now. Could be one of your opponents, but anyway, that's watching out there right now. And they are saying, oh, but he's only going to help the returning citizens, and he's only going to help the brown community or the black community. So what do you have to say? Because Pensacola is is made up of everybody. I don't live there, so I can't tell you the statistics, but I do know that everybody lives there. And so you're a mayor that's going to represent everybody, unlike what has happened in the past. Can you share with everybody how your vision works for all?
Yes, well, I mean, because my vision is built on people. People first. Pensacola always is the slogan. Again, I've been named the top mental health worker in the country this year. One of my biggest specialties is suicide. And when I get a suicide call, I don't say, okay, I'm on my way. But before I go, are they a returning citizen and are they Black? I don't care about that. It's somebody in need. I'm on my way. And that's the same thing I'm going to do at City Hall, because one thing I learned about knocking doors over in that area, like in the Cadova Parks, the Spanish Trails, is that their problems may not look like ours, but they have problems too. And they have the same thing, the same gripe that we have. They're not being listened to. And then you have someone listen to, and you have someone that doesn't even live in their neighborhood that's trying to tell them what's best for them in their neighborhood. And they are the experts. And we have to listen to a lot of experts on whatever the topic may be. But the biggest expert in the room is the people that live it every day. So we have to. So no, it's for when you take that oath as a mental health worker, you stop seeing color like that. You stop seeing all those things. One of the biggest stories, and I got to be careful how I tell this story because I don't want to violate HIPAA, but I was in a counseling session with a white lady, and I did it virtually, and she was in Neptune Beach. And she told me, this is my third session with her, and she's really comfortable with me by now. And she says, Jermaine, I just got to tell you, she's looking at me dead in my face. I just got to tell you, can you believe that my daughter is dating a Black guy? And I said, no, ma'am, I can't believe that. And then she was like, it's not even a Shamar Moore. It's not even Barack Obama. It's a 50 Cent. And you know what I did? I listened, I validated, and we worked through coping skills for her. Because when you're helping people in need, you're not Black, you're not a male, you're not even Jermaine. You are there to help someone that you're supposed to. I can't pass judgment on the way people think when I take the oath as mayor. What I take as that oath is to make sure every single citizen, even people that's not even old enough, to give them the safest environment, the best living standard, and whatever I could do in my power, or even things I could do outside of my power, to make sure that this is the best city in the world, no matter who you love, no matter what your color is, no matter your zip code. And that's what I'm going to do.
I know you mentioned filling that gap where children or young people, I would say, is out there in the streets, and we know that is definitely true. That too many don't have anywhere to go after a certain hour, and so they end up sometimes getting in trouble because of it, because they are out in the street, and the law enforcement is going to focus on it, especially Black children in particular. So, would you be would you consider keeping some of those centers open later to make sure that they have somewhere to go to play ball, to interact with each other, and do other things?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I already started looking into that. I don't want to talk too much into it because I don't want nobody to get in trouble. That's on the payroll. But yes, I have looked into that. But also, everybody doesn't want to play sports. Everybody doesn't want to do those things that those rec centers offer. And we have some amazing nonprofits that's doing the work. Whether it's dance, whether it's STEM, we have so many chess clubs. We got the 2 wins that I love what they do with the chess clubs with the youth. They just they're not poured into. Like, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We already have people doing the work. We have to find the money to fund them where they can continue what they're doing on a broader scale and to fill that time gap. Because I'm sure if they didn't have to worry about working a second job, or didn't have to worry about the money aspects of serving the community around that time, their doors will be open. So it will be my number one priority to go out there and find whatever that's on the table to make sure that happens and give these kids a fighting chance.
Yeah, because we talk about they are our greatest resource and they are the future, but we have it seems that we don't really put our money, our resources that could be used by the county or the city to make sure that they get those things that are needed for them.
Yeah,
So,
I think that Pensacola, You know, I stop and think nowadays before I say stuff. We have to stop putting people in that says one thing and do another. You know, we really have to stop doing that. And again, I was at the I don't even know what to call it, Responsible League Women Voters Republican Forum, which they, you know, it was really nice. I had a good time. Um, but they asked about something like that, about what you were saying about, I can't remember the exact question. And I didn't blink, I didn't flinch, and I wasn't nobody other than Jermaine. And I remind them that corruption is in the DNA of the city. And most people out there, let's not forget let's not forget Willie Jr. and W.D. Childers. Like that is going on today. We have to have a responsibility of selecting and electing moral leaders that won't be corrupted by money. That's not born and like a Manchurian candidate to be bred for politics to take advantage of the system. We need to show we just need to send a strong message on Tuesday that the candidates that you put in front of us, no matter how much money you pump into them, those are not who we want. And it should start with me when you vote for me on Tuesday.
Back to you, Derek.
So, Jermaine, I have a question for you, and I want you to answer this in your words, because there are so many people who are running for mayor. What would you say to those people who are, undecided between you and, let's say, a DC Reeves, or you and Alicia Travick, or you and Ann Hill? I know if you were me, my first thought would be, well, one of them didn't even want to be mayor. They were talked into it because they couldn't qualify for the job that they really wanted. But that's neither here nor there. What would be your answer to those folks who are still to finish?
I will urge them to go back. Three things here. I will urge them. Number one, and specifically speaking of the mayor, he has 4 years on tape. Go look at what he has done and where his interest lies. If you don't live downtown and you don't have a certain amount of money, then he's not your mayor. He's not the mayor for you, and don't drink the Kool-Aid. I would tell people, take a look at who's talking on talking points and who presented the plan. And not just lip service. Like if I threw everything at you like I did at the top of this broadcast or when I was introduced, and then you want to go back and really dive into it, you could go to my website at any given time. Most people have all this stuff of what they're going to do. They have not spoken one time on how they're going to do it. And I am the only candidate that has had the plan. And then furthermore, take each candidate and go back 20 years and see what that candidate has done in the community, or if they even was living here. And in my mind, it's only two outside of the mayor that comes to that. And then when you look at me and that person, then you will see why you should vote for me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Jill, do you have any follow-up or closing?
Jermaine. So, if I have been following the different forums and who shows up and who doesn't show up, and then of course I've been if because I'm not, if I lived in Pensacola and I knew I wanted to change, but I also am kind of sitting on the fence because of whatever reason. So whether that's my own, I gotta be careful. I say this. Whether they're scared because of who you are, or they're scared to take a chance, or they're scared to go for something that sounds so good, that could truly be reality. What would you say to those people? We know right now that we need to get people out to vote. So we're doing our part, but we're not the candidate. So we can tell you, hey, you got to go vote. You need to do this. But tell them why. And I think Derek asked you what's the difference between you. But I want you to talk to those people who are really, really contemplating. Like they're right there. They got to check a box. They want to check the right one, but they need to have that reassurance, that understanding. I'm throwing this to you because as the mayor, you're going to get this when people come in your office, and you've already given us an example. And I actually love the way you said that. You saw my eyes. I'm not sure my eyes on screen would have given that away. So I'm gonna have to work hard, but that's probably why you're number one and I'm not in that space at all. Because as soon as you said that, I was like, really? Did you just say that? Did you say that out loud? But again, I don't want to throw you off of the question, because I do know that there's some people out there that really, really want to vote for you or want to change and know they need a change and need to that reassurance, that understanding, whatever you can give them.
Okay, well, I will say this, and I might get in trouble for this later on, but why not? Let's just say it. Look at Derek's face. No, I want to say this. I was the last candidate, the last true candidate that's really trying to win this race to get into the race. You get what I mean? So I came in last for a reason, because I looked at the field. I didn't initially just want to run for mayor. I wanted to cast my vote for somebody who I truly thought was not just going to get the problem solved for me, but for everyone, to get the city back to at least feeling like I have a voice here. Now, it's been a while since we felt like that. And I would say I didn't really see it on the ballot. So I was forced into running because, listen, I'm one of you all. There has been so many initiatives that I fought for. Let's just take the redevelopment of Baptist Hospital. People can look and say, well, that is a Black issue. You'll be totally wrong, because I live on E and Lee. And if you go to those Baptist demolition meetings, they are dominated by non-Blacks that's in that meeting. That is a mixed neighborhood, and everyone is concerned what's coming. And we all got together to fight DC Reeves on the redevelopment with the Bayou District. After we won at the city council and they pulled it from the item, now they're bringing back out the RFP, and guess who's back on that list? The Bayou District. So they're going to do what they want to do, no matter if you're civically engaged, no matter what you do. You could do everything right in this city to get your voice heard as a citizen, to voice your concerns, and even go over the line that you should go. Nobody should have to fight that hard to be heard about their own neighborhood. And then when the rest of the council agrees with you, they still find a way to push that initiative on you. And when you live in a city like that, you get so fed up. One or two things can happen. You could get this. You could just be heartbroken and just fall out of civic engagement, or you could say, I'm going to take somebody's job so nobody else in this city feels like that. So to answer your question in the short form is that I am one of the people that have been fighting and organizing for the last 14 years and have not seen nothing go my way except last year, two things, and they both have been swiped away in 2 weeks after I've organized on it for over a year. So I am the person that not only will fight for you to make sure those things that go that way, but don't go that way. And then when they do, and then you're like, what to do next? I'm gonna run for mayor and take that job and make sure that your voice is heard. And I don't see that with any candidate on the ballot. There's one strong candidate on the ballot, and the only thing he wants to do is dictate to you how this city is gonna go. You see where the money is going. If you don't live downtown, well, you might be out of luck. You might be out of luck. That's what they're pumping all the money into. And everyone else has been soft on their stance. Some has gotten a little stronger in the last couple of weeks because we're coming down to it. I never waver. I've never wavered. I've been the same person and spoken the same words. The language might be different now because you have to see me button up, but I have been the same person with the same approach consistently for the last 14 years. Nothing about me has changed. So I am consistent, because one thing about, somebody asked me after one of the forums, they was like, your life is different now. You're a politician. And I had to correct them. I said, I am not a politician. They said, well, aren't you running for mayor? I said, yes, ma'am, I am. And then she said, well, you're a politician. I said, no, A leader leads with his heart. A politician leads with their pockets. I don't lead with my pockets. And that's why you should vote for me. That's what makes me different than everybody else. Because I'm not saying they lead with their pockets, but we don't know what the future holds. But I can tell you what the future holds for me. So I'm sorry. I hope I answered that question. I get so passionate about it, man, because you got to understand. And Mr. McIntosh knows, and Derek, you know, and Jill, I know you got secondhand information on this. This is a hard city to live in. I'm getting emotional. This is a hard city to live in. And when you know you're this close to changing lives for everybody, everybody, I need everybody to go vote, because in 4 years, you're going to kick yourself in the butt if you do not take this opportunity for me. Because it's not for me, it's for us. It's for us. I don't need an outside dime. They pay the city, the taxpayers pay the mayor handsomely to run this city. I don't need another dime. But that's not everybody's thinking. That's not everybody. We see it every day. I absolutely love this city and the people in it. And it's so frustrating. I don't think people understand how bad I want this job. I work 2 full-time jobs, one in addiction and one in suicide ideation or suicide prevention. I have a 16-year-old son that lives with me, goes to Washington, go Wildcats. I have an upstart of another mental health firm. I have a pro bono firm. And I'm campaigning hard for the last 8 months, nonstop. Now, all that stuff sounds like a lot, but before you add that up, let me tell you more about this campaign. I'm underfunded. I'm undermanned. I'm doing everything. I have a little help here and there, but I'm doing everything. And I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you, I've been averaging 3 to 4 hours of sleep for the longest. And I'm not batting an eye, because that's how important this election is. I ran out of necessity, not want. But now that I see what I can actually do you know how excited I was making that 55-page governing plan? I'm like, man, I could finally show the citizens that every mayor before me was a scam. If the change wanted to be made, it could be made. Then I start saying, I really want this job to show people that if the heart comes back to City Hall, Pensacola will be the marquee city in the state of Florida. And then we'll have to really worry about a population boom, because we'll be showing the rest of the city and the rest of the nation of how you do this.
Jermaine, you know, they are trying to, well, through the so-called DEI, which is nothing but diversity, equity, and inclusion, that they don't use that because the acronym seems more disadvantageous to everybody that's listening, that don't know what DEI mean, because they didn't even try to find out or look it up. So how would you make sure that diversity, equity, and inclusion is on the table, continue to be on the table in your administration, to make sure that everybody has a shot at getting hired or being a part of your administration?
It's just what I've been fighting on. Like, you could just look at my initiatives, that everybody's going to get a seat at the table. Everybody. Like, everybody, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, you don't have to have 20/20 vision to see the color of my skin, but DEI is just not a black thing. It's right. For women. It's for the handicapped. It's for the elderly. It's for the LGBT. If you are the best and the brightest, like, I might override whoever you're interviewing with and come in and just offer you the job and get in trouble, but probably do that. But we're looking for the best and the brightest to turn this city around. I don't care about none of that stuff. I just want to know is, can you do the job? And if you got a track record of showing that one mistake does not define you, then I don't care about that mistake until you make it relevant again in the future. Y'all got me on fire on this Sunday evening.
Well, Jermaine, I appreciate you joining us tonight. Feel free to stick around. Let me ask, you got 2 days before people go to the polls. what can people do to help you?
Look, I need volunteers. We can't give money no more, but you can give me, your volunteer time. But more importantly, if you cannot, or if you don't want to volunteer, if you want to do some simple task, when you go vote, go make sure that every seat in your car is filled up. Take the max amount. If you got an SUV, pack it out. If you got just a regular sedan, make sure y'all 5 deep, as we used to call it back in the day, and go vote. Make sure everybody goes vote and spread the word. Let me tell you something. They worried. I got a call before I even came on here. People trying to give me information about this election and some intel. I don't trust nothing in this city. You know, there's no shaking me. There's no shaking me. I don't keep that away from me. I am Jermaine J. Williams. I'm running to be mayor, and there's no obstacle that not only that's going to keep me from the mayor's seat, but serving this city at the top as the top class that I can. So well, I want to say to everybody right now, just make sure you have a plan to vote. Make sure you call everybody you know. Get them children out. If they gonna sit in your house and eat them snacks and drink them drinks, tell them boys to get in the car and come on to vote. And let's do it.
We having a fish fry at Move for Change Saturday from 10 to 3. If you can make it through, you can talk to some people, maybe try to recruit some of those to work on the campaign with you.
Well, I tell you what, either Saturday I'll be either in the middle of a runoff, mayor-elect, or just looking for the next thing. Because it'll be decided by then.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you, Jermaine. Feel free to stick around. I appreciate you.
It's a busy night. I got to go, but thank y'all so much.
Right.
Oh, also really quick, watch party, election night. Doors open at 6. We're at the Bundy Club on Belmont, the Villas. Out of one of three things gonna happen. I'm gonna be mayor-elect. I'm forcing a runoff, or I get my life back. Either way, it's a party. So come party with us.
All right. We'll see you soon. All right. Bye. Okay, everybody. That was Jermaine Williams, candidate for the mayor of Pensacola. Certainly, if it's not abundantly clear, if I haven't said it, and continue to say it, if I were in the city limits of Pensacola, I would be casting my vote to do so. That is the rest. Like you said, he's the only candidate that's written a plan to move the city out. And so certainly, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm telling you what I would do. How about that? That's the best that I can tell you. Jill, I am going to turn it over to you to introduce our next candidate.
Hello, everyone. I am super excited. I think this is like my third time I've got to introduce you in different spaces and places. I am going to read your very short bio, but I do want to say that this is a time, if you are joining us, that you want to sit down, you want to get your pen and paper out, you want to get your ballot out so you can see who's on it and understand, hey, Vernon, we can hear you. So that you can see who's on it and really put a name, a face to the name. So when you go on Tuesday, because so many of you are just really waiting until Tuesday because it's so important to wait and go at the last moment on Tuesday. But as long as you go, we're not going to say anything negative. Just make sure you go. Okay. We have Earl Ford. Born into a military family, Earl grew up in Wyoming, driven by a duty to serve. After his time as a U.S. Army paratrooper, he attended law school in Florida. During law school, he continued volunteering and serving his local community. He continued his public service as a prosecutor before joining the IRS, where he worked in the IRS estate and gift tax program. He specialized in complex trusts and dealt directly with some of the world's wealthiest people. However, witnessing the administration's attacks on civil servants led him to run for office. Earl is now building grassroots campaign, built, still building, gonna build it, gonna be on the ballot in November with your help. focused on tackling the insurance crisis, accountability, and our core values. And so I present to you Earl Ford, and I would like for you to share what you're running for, break down for them what your position is so that everybody understands, and you guys have already pulled out your ballot so that you can understand face name. Welcome.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you guys for having me. It's great to see so many familiar faces, people who I feel are my friends, and it's like I said, just seeing your face puts a smile on mine. That being said, I'm running for what is the chief financial officer, and I kind of say it's the greatest job in Florida. And when I talk about the CFO position, a lot of times people are like, "What does that mean?" And it's a consequence of us having an ineffective CFO for so long. But to kind of break it down for the everyday person, and this is not their fault, it's just because, again, the CFO is just doing what he does. The CFO is, first and foremost, we're living in an insurance crisis, right? And Florida has some of the worst insurance rates in the country. It's made the state almost completely unaffordable for people who've lived their entire lives here. Well, the CFO is the one person in the entire state that has direct oversight of the entire insurance industry. So if you want to address the insurance crisis, you need a CFO willing to use his delegated power from the legislature to crack down on insurance companies and level the playing field. And finally, put Floridians first, and that is addressing the insurance crisis, trying to do whatever we can. There's numerous ways we could address the targeting rates, and we can get in the weeds of that later. But also, the other aspects of what the CFO does is they have oversight of how the state spends their money and also, auditing the state. So, we hear about Alligator Alcatraz, you hear about the voucher scandal, the Hope scandal, the migrant flight scandals. These are all, scandals which took your taxpayer money and were used for political purposes. And these were incidents in which the CFO could have played an important role in intervening and stop that money going there. And that's the only scandals we know about, right? There's a lot of scandals that we may not even know about right now. And that's where you need the CFO to use this audit ability. And as you mentioned, I'm an IRS person, so I like a good audit. But it's somebody who has someone needs to have the skill set to dive into these financials and see where our money's going. But also it's about having somebody stand on the side of the everyday Floridian. For too long, we've had power balance in Tallahassee, and it's about consumer advocacy. And it's about standing on the side of the consumers, because the reality is most people can't afford attorneys. If you want to take the insurance companies, you need attorneys. They passed tort reform, which made it much more difficult to, to sue the insurance companies. And if you do, you'll never be made whole. It's very unlikely you'll be made whole. And so because of that, the state needs to step in and be the referee, but also be the advocate. So give the everyday person tools to navigate this very complex process. Insurance is no fun. There's a reason I didn't go into insurance law, because it is that burdensome. But the everyday person, the layperson, doesn't understand what's going on. So what I want to advocate for is a policyholder bill of rights, and that really lays out in layman's terms what you're entitled to, what the insurance companies are entitled to. But this is also making sure the state's much more proactive in how we help people address their claims. So when you file a claim, the state's on notice. The state will help you through that process. And the other aspects that I really want to push through is also transparency. Right now, people just don't have any trust in their government, and the only way you start rebuilding that trust is through that transparency. And giving, again, everyday Floridians unprecedented access to how and why we spend our money, I think starts building that trust process. And that's what I want to do as CFO.
You talked about insurance at how ridiculous it is. As a matter of fact, I was talking to someone today. They said they paid their house off, but they dropped the insurance because they had to make some choices whether they were going to be able to eat or continue with the insurance. But the insurance is so high, it's costing them something like almost $400 a month for homeowners insurance, and their insurance, like mine, is almost $5,000 a year, which is ridiculous when you think about it. So what kind of effect would you have on that as far as legislation is concerned, or your job as a CFO?
Yeah, so CFO, I mean, Florida is Florida. So the weird thing about Florida is that legislative roles, I wouldn't say legislative, but that role is kind of bifurcated between the CFO and the Office of Insurance Regulation. So from the top level down, it'd be the CFO sits on the Financial Services Commission alongside the governor, alongside the Attorney General, and you appoint the insurance commissioner. Right now, we've had an insurance commissioner that's very opaque. He doesn't want to reveal how or why the insurance companies, adjust their rates. He's the one that approves or disapproves the rate increases. And for the last, for the last few cycles, we've had an insurance commissioner that literally just rubber stamps anything that insurance companies want to do. So from the easiest thing we could do from the get-go is appoint an insurance commissioner that's going to be consumer friendly, that's going to agree to do public hearings and be transparent in how we state the rate, how we set the rates. What you do from that other aspect is now you start enforcement. So the Office of Insurance Regulation is kind of like the legislative. They set, how the insurance companies operate, where the Department of Financial Services, which the CFO oversees, is the enforcement arm. So that's where you start hitting them with the legislative duties that the legislature has delegated to the CFO. And so that's, whether they are not being transparent with how the adjusters handle claims, how the insurance companies are setting the rates, how they're not giving consumers an opportunity to respond. So it's through that enforcement process that we'll start, getting more insight into how the insurance companies set the rates. One of the other things we're seeing is because we don't have really any sort of data aggregation. We're not, there's not any sort of compliance procedure set in place. The state has no oversight into what the hell is going on when they set these rates. And this is where you start talking about like boring government again, but you need boring government to be effective government. And when we start collecting data and we start making them document their compliance, we're going to start seeing where those pain points are. You hear all this talk about AI using this technology. Well, when you have so many claims, we can start zeroing in on what's causing these pain points. Is it like insurance company A? Is it insurance company B? Is it certain contractors? Is it labor? Is it the type of labor? Is it the areas? Or is it a policy holder? So there's all this stuff we can start diving into. Another thing that I kind of mentioned is they talked about tort reform, which makes it very hard for consumers to sue. And that was supposed to lower people's insurance. And in the time that's passed, that hasn't lowered anybody's insurance. One of the bottlenecks that we're also seeing is mediation. And so a lot of times, historically, and as a lawyer, alternative dispute resolution, you want to go through mediation because it's cheaper than trial. The problem with mediation is, again, it's very opaque. We don't know what's going on. We don't know why they're settling. And in fact, it almost incentivizes the insurance companies to drag out claims because it's more painful for people to, you don't want to go a year without, paying your bills or, these repairs, and you get desperate, and they're willing to settle claims for lower, and also the insurance companies are profiting off the interest rates. So when the state's involved from the get-go from handling the insurance claim, we're going to be involved every step of the way, and that way, when the claims get dragged out, we're going to be able to intervene when we're trying to figure out why the rates are going up. We're going to have more data into why that's going on, so we could punish, release report cards or target certain insurance companies that have a history of hiking rate prices. And so it's just, honestly, it's kind of boring stuff, but I think it's getting back to where government needs to have their hands in everything and making sure we're on the side of the consumers.
Yeah, I know that a lot of the insurance companies, after people have paid their insurance and done everything that they're supposed to do, these insurance companies get up and leave people destitute. So would the CFO have any influence over that, or it has to be strictly a state representative or Senate legislative processes that has to be worked out?
It'd have to be a little more legislative. This is where the CFO kind of serves as an advocate, but also with the using the enforcement arm of how they're doing the rates, how they're setting the rates. That's where the CFO could put them on notice. And one of the things is fines are historically like a cost of doing business, like for insurance companies. Well, one of the things you'll hear me talk about almost ad nauseum is State Bill 7052, which enhanced the CFO's ability to really hammer the insurance companies. And that is something the CFO could do to really start, putting some pain on the insurance company so it's no longer profitable for them to drag this stuff out. One of the other things that I would like to work with the state legislature on, as you mentioned, was how, we call it regulatory, fee affiliate shifting, where a lot of these insurance companies will move money outside the state and they'll say, hey, I'm taking a loss. Hey, we can't afford to be here anymore. Meanwhile, the shareholders are profiting outside the state. Florida's one of the few states that doesn't regulate that. That's an area where the CFO could really ramp up regulation to make sure the money stays in state. So that way, when there's issues going on, we have solvent insurance companies to go after to make sure there's assets here to make sure those the policyholders are made whole. And so I think it's kind of it's going to be a little bit of a team effort. I mean, this, as I mentioned, the CFO is the enforcement arm, but again, you're going to have to work with the legislature. But there has been historically a lot of legislative support, bipartisan support that enhanced the CFO's ability to do this. It's just you haven't had a CFO willing to do it.
Fair deal.
Thank you. So I guess my question would become, right now, voters, and I'm glad, thank you for doing this tonight. So I know one of the, in many of the conversations that people reach out to us, your race is always the one, and like, well, which one? I don't know who either one of the people are, right? So in this, can you share with people why I think your background in auditing, and your background working with the IRS, along with your legal education, lends itself for this role and how you're, I guess, the most prepared or best equipped to serve in the capacity of CFO.
Yeah, so I think one of the things I'm most proud of is just my public service in general. When I think about my military experience, it's just the military drives in those values, and I've carried those values with me throughout my life. When I went to work for the state attorney's office, that was the first time I held people accountable. You have victims, and they're relying on you to not, they may never be made whole again, but for that justice. And then my job at the IRS, again, people hear like IRS, and they don't get the warm and fuzzies when they hear that, but I think a lot of people understand it's about accountability, right? The IRS has to enforce the law. And when you're asking somebody to oversee, close to $120 billion budget, you want somebody not only with financial experience, but also legal experience. And somebody who could read, read case law, read, the statutes and make a judgment call and understand what that means and not have to rely on outside sources. But also, I think the other thing about the IRS that's unique is the program I worked in, it wasn't the 1%ers, it was the 0.1%ers. So I stood opposite of very, powerful people who are not used to being told no, right? And I'm standing opposite of very powerful attorneys. And I, had the United States government behind me, and I stood my ground. And I think coming from this background of public service, where the reason I'm here is because I want to fight for the future of Florida. But also, I don't have these political connections. I don't have this donor base that is expecting me to do something when I get to Tallahassee. I think right now, everyone kind of feels like the country is in crisis. And, it's times like this where you have people that are public servants that step up, like Jermaine, right? People who are volunteers, social workers, firefighters, cops, veterans, union workers, teachers. These type of people are stepping up in these times of crisis. And I think because they live in everyday reality, right? When I worked at the IRS, I drive home and you see veterans, living under, a bridge, or my where I worked at the IRS, granted, we dealt with these high-end people, but like revenue officers, revenue agents, like every day you heard like the horror stories, and the IRS is not like cold-hearted people. We just realize that people's financial situation just stinks right now. So I think the idea of just being in touch with reality. I know I'm a little younger than my opponent, but I also think, hey, I have a vested interest in it. I want to live the rest of my days in Florida. I have a young family, and I want to fight for this future, but I also want to make sure I use my skill set and do what I can to bring back effective government in Tallahassee.
Thank you for that. Jill, you're up.
All right. Glad you're here. I think that we need to stay a little bit of time on the difference between you and your opponent, because most people right now, without going, like crazy, I don't want to get too deep in it, but they do need to understand, because there are a couple of races, and this is one of them, where people really don't understand. I know I had a conversation, so I'm going to share one conversation I had so you can answer this too in your answer. And the person was like, yeah, I did some research. They went all the way in your background. They knew how long you had been with the military. They knew how long you had worked with the IRS. And I was like, you really have done some research. But their question was, I believe if I'm saying it correctly, when you were with what made you switch, I guess, after the IRS when you left? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't ask that question, but if I ever get the opportunity, I'll make sure that I ask that question. The other thing, when you were talking before, I thought, I know this race right now is about Democrats, because you're a Democratic candidate and we have close primaries. So therefore, right now you're speaking to Democrats. But I thought, in understanding when we're voting someone in, we want them to fight and win in November, that it was very important to understand that your job is to hold everybody accountable. It is not just to hold Republicans accountable or MPAs. It is also to hold those that are in office, everyone, accountable. So I think maybe sharing some of that. So the difference between you and you and the person that's running against you, maybe answering that question as to what the change was and why you made the change, and then sharing again the fact that your job, I think you said it was the best job because you get to hold everybody accountable. So you're working for everybody.
Yeah. So I guess you're talking about the switch from the congressional race to the CFO race. Is that the switch you're talking about?
No. But you can check that. But no, I think they went through your background. I have no idea. Was somebody, I know the person, but I didn't go into it. And they were just saying, yes, I thought they said that you're with the IRS and then you were there for several years, but it wasn't like 10, 15, 20 years. I don't know. I just said I would ask so you can go through it. I know you're in the military. You've done so much, so it could have been any of those answers, but I didn't want to answer it for you.
Oh no, so so my there may have just been a little confusion because military, law school, and then I was a prosecutor, and then IRS, and then Hatch Act required, because I'm running for a partisan office, federal law prohibits you from federal employment, so I had to leave, and so right now this is my full-time job. But if it was regarding the congressional race, the thing that kind of pushed me in this is like living through Doge. And the one thing that, really fired me up is, you have these mentors working in government, and whether it's the military or government, you work with people from every background imaginable, like all races, cultures, religions, groups, and Doge came in and they hammered us, right? And my mentor was there. Like, I saw how my mentor was treated. And that's ultimately, I felt like no one was fighting for us. And that's what ultimately led me to run for office. And then what ended up happening with this kind of switch to CFO was, at the end of the day, I am a Democrat. I'm proud to be a Democrat. I'm probably the only Democrat you'll ever meet from Wyoming. But that being said, we were had a great campaign in 2013. We were fundraising. We raised $700,000, and but at the end of the day, I was like, I'm fundraising to beat another Democrat. And as Democrats, we need to make sure we're challenging every Republican in office. And at the time, no one was running for CFO. And, in the CFO, it's it's just one of those things that just kind of was right up my alley. Whether you're talking about financial analysis, auditing, but also the legal aspect of it. And, I was like, this is something that really interests me. And I almost felt like having an opportunity to take that skill set to Tallahassee could almost give me a more direct impact on people's everyday life, because the insurance crisis is front. Even when you're running for Congress or running for Senate, the insurance crisis is front and center. And no matter where you go in Florida, there's roofs with tarps on them, and there's people that are struggling. I mean, when you were out on the campaign trail, you could see it in people's eyes. Like, they tear up because they were literally $20 from their worst nightmare, right? Like, $20 gets you to your job for the rest of the week, or $20 gets you a few more cans to feed your kid. A few more cans of beans or rice to feed your kid. So, but the insurance crisis is so, and it's something that resonates with Floridians, and that's why the CFO position just kind of jumped out at me. With that being said, the big thing too, against me and my opponent, and I guess, I think the one thing that I think that kind of separates me though too is, I think my background probably resonates with more people. Like, the one thing I'm learning as I go on the statewide trip is Florida is a very, very large place. It is not Dade County. It is not Broward County. It is not Escambia. It is 7 different countries in one, and every county, is very, very different. And the whole idea that you're going to treat the entire state like one county is not realistic. And I think my background, like I said, I'm a Democrat, but I think it skews a little more conservative. I was in the infantry in the Army. Prosecutor, ties to law enforcement and federal service. And I think that gives me an opportunity to kind of connect with, more rural people. And also, I'm from a very rural state, so I'm used to, driving and losing cell phone signal. I'm used to, I'm used to those long drives, but also, so I'm hoping to use that to kind of connect with people, and I felt like I have, and that's what I hope to bring to this campaign, and I think that's where I also, that's what I'm hoping to deliver in this campaign, and I think that's why might be a little more different than my opponent, because at the end of the day, elected officials too, you want it to be a meritocracy. You don't want people just to walk into this thing like, hey, you want people who've done hard things. And I'm proud of my career. I've done hard things, and I've always done it in service of my country and my, hopefully my state. And it's just, it's about doing good in the world. You get in government because you want to uplift and give people opportunity. You don't get in government to punch down. So that's what I want to do.
Thank you so much. Vernon, does Vernon have a question? He's quiet. I can't imagine.
I don't think Vernon's there.
Okay.
Back to Derek.
You have a question, Derek?
Yeah, no, I was going to say we've got 2 days, right? Today's today is really the only day that you have to reach people. I think the good thing about this show is that we go all the way over to Panama City, so you're getting a breadth of folks. You see us on Zoom, but we're also televised. The show is on TV. So for folks who are in this area, who are like they're right there on the line, I guess, and they're trying to make the determination of which one. Is it Earl who's with us, or Annette who nobody knows? What do they say? What's your pitch to them to get them across the finish line, to vote to select your name on Tuesday?
Yeah, so I mean, first and foremost, I'd say I'm very proud of my qualifications. I did, law school and like the IRS. If you're asking for somebody with a legal financial background, I think that sticks out. But I think most importantly, it's not only what you do, it's how you do it. And what I hope to be is this new generation of Democrat. Right? Like you see a lot of young people stepping up, And I think the Democratic Party needs to change. You need fresh blood, but it also needs somebody that is representative of the values that we want to, show our kids. And why, you don't want people with, showing up and covering your kids' eyes because how they're operating on TV. And so when I say this new generation Democrat, what I'm talking about is doing the job, but also doing it, showing decency, showing empathy, showing compassion, respect for everyone, regardless of your culture, your background, respect for the environment, respect for our institutions, and respect for really like all the sacrifices and the legacy that everyone that came before us, everything they gave, showing respect for that. So so it's not only what you do, I think it's how you do it. And I think, hopefully if, it's just trying to get back to doing it the right way, but also showing people how to lead. So, that's what I plan to do. And, yeah, so, fingers crossed we'll get there. So, but it's gonna be a crazy, I don't know, 48 hours.
Yeah, you got a busy 48 hours on you. Jill or Mr. McIntosh, Mr. Vernon, do you guys have any final thoughts or questions? So we can let Mr. Earl get back to the business campaign.
How can they help? There's 2 days left. Obviously, we can share with our friends, our family, but do you have any phone banks, text messaging? What is it that if they are committed, we're going to tell them to do like Jermaine said, fill up your car. And I'm going to tell them, fill your car up and fill it up 2 or 3 times, especially if you have that day off. If you were lucky enough to do that, that's what we should be doing. But how can we help?
Yeah, so I think we're in the same thing as Jermaine. Like we do have phone banks like set up, but as the statewide campaign and being the CFO, our race it's weird because you're a statewide candidate, but it almost feels like it's almost local because it's so narrow. But I think the best thing you could do is just call and text all your friends, everyone on your, everyone that and say, hey, Tuesday vote. Like, hey, like don't let us lose this one just because. Like we all have something to gain or lose Tuesday. And so I think it's just making sure we just reach out to our friends, family, no matter how, even that person you haven't talked to in 10 years. Hey, well, might give you an opportunity to rekindle a relationship. But I think at this point, we need to just make sure people are engaged. I'm of the mindset if, people see me on the ballot, they have an opportunity to do the research and, not necessarily but quick Googles and stuff. And I think again, my qualifications will stand out, but I think at this point, I think it's just more important that we get people voting and motivated and let them know there's a lot on the line. So, because we're all in this together. So.
Mr. McIntosh, you have anything?
Anything, Mr. McIntosh?
I just want to say, I hope you win the primary. Good luck.
No. Well, me too. And it's just, it's been a wild ride, and but I hope it again continues because Florida's a great state, and having the opportunity to go to just to travel so far, and we still have a lot of places we need to go. And I think last time I talked to Jill, or maybe Derek, sorry, the days are starting to bleed together because we've just been but being up in the panhandles critical to us, and I can't even talking to past people who ran. It's really the panhandle. So I know how important it is up there, and also, but it's not only just to get votes; it's to meet people, it's to shake their hands, it's to look into their eyes and listen to their story, and learn about how to govern better. And so, so like I said, crazy 48 hours. Hopefully, we're there at the end. But if that, and we'll just see how I guess the chips fall, and but either way, I have a smile on my face. You meet incredible people. So happy either way.
Well, that's a good perspective to have, but we're rooting for you. you certainly have all of our votes. Well, you have, I already voted for you.
They
And I've
voted.
told everybody I know to make sure that they check our for it. Every time I get a call, I'm like, let's go through it one by one. Make sure you got it. So, you know, we rock with you. Best of luck. Please, once you make it through the 18th, come visit in the Panhandle, so folks, so you can get to know the stories up here and get to know some of the voters as well. And good luck.
No, 100%. No, and again, thank you guys. You guys have been rock stars. And yeah, anytime I get to hang out with you guys, yeah, it's a smile on my face. So
Ready. All right. Thanks,
I think
sir.
that's
Thank
Take
you
care.
so much. Tell your family thank you for allowing you to take this time away from them, and we're gonna do everything we can. We'll see you on Tuesday with the win.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to like just breathing that. Yeah. So, but all right. Thank you guys.
All right. Take care.
All right, have a great night. Thank you so much.
That was Earl Ford, candidate for the Florida CFO. You have, for those who have not yet had an opportunity to vote on Tuesday, the 18th, please make sure you go and cast your ballot for him. We will go back to our regularly scheduled things. And Mr. McIntosh, do you have anything that we need to know?
Yeah, we have fish fries. Want to make sure that y'all, if y'all not too busy to come Saturday to the fish fry and you know, enjoy. We're giving back to the community as the community has given to us. We want to make sure that you know that everybody that want to come, we're gonna do fish until it's gone. It's from 10 to 3 or when the fish is all gone. might, might go pretty early because it's free. So hopefully you know y'all be able to show up, and you'll be able to talk to some of the people about voting there, and you and Jill, if you can make it. I know y'all have a heavy schedule.
No, I think this Saturday we have a little bit of a breathing room.
Okay, well, come on over there and breathe on everybody over there.
Jill, did you finish your stuff for Okaloosa County, or did you have more? Your meeting. Okay, I'll come back to Jill.
Sorry.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I'm trying to send you this because I need to go over it or they're going to kill me. So I'm just trying to make sure I get you that. Two things. We have many of you, and I talked to Vernon when we do Inside Okaloosa with Senior Airman Fortson. Many of you may recall he is the airman that was shot and killed, but opening his door. And the officer that shot and killed him asked for it to be thrown out. And the judge is contemplating over all of the facts and information that were shared in August 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th when the family had to come and go through all of that. Not the hearing, just whether to throw it out or not. And so that will be in September. The hearing is also scheduled for September, but they have to rule on this first if it proceeds, which, of course, many of us hope that the justice system will not again fail this family in our community. Then there would be jury duty and then the hearing. The second thing that I want to go over is I received this. The NAACP had an initiative that they put together, and they are doing a dedication ceremony for Augustus Gus Tart at the Air Force Airmen Museum on Saturday as well at 1 p.m. The prelude music will be 12:30 to 1. The welcome is at 1. And then they will do the historical presentation. Okaloosa County Commissioners will come, and the mayor, town of Shalimar, will be there. And it is an wonderful opportunity to come and learn the history. They are doing a dedication ceremony, and anybody that is available is encouraged to attend. And then lastly, I would again go through how critical Escambia is doing better than, but I'm gonna talk to Santa Rosa and Okaloosa since BJ's not here and Christina's not here. We are asleep. That's the best I can tell you. Absolutely asleep. And so we know that there are issues, concerns, whether you're talking about your local politics, or if you're talking about your insurance prices. You have the opportunity to ensure that the people that are on the ballot in November are the ones that are going to fight for us. And sitting at home for any reason, and I'm talking to everybody, but specifically Santa Rosa and Okaloosa, we're going to, I'm not going to assume, so I'm going to find a different word. We're going to think that those of you that didn't take advantage of the easiest ways to vote, early voting, being number one, and vote by mail, that you strongly just want to show up on Tuesday and cast your vote from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The difference is you have to know your polling location. And if you changed your address recently and you go to the wrong one, you have to be prepared to go to the correct one, whichever one is down on your voter registration. But I will say this. The numbers for Santa Rosa and Okaloosa are horrific. When you think about how many times so many of us are at the city council meetings, at the commissioner meetings, at the school board meetings, and we're speaking up and speaking out, yet the one time that you actually can make the change and engage, we're sitting at home. And I'm going to talk right now to Democrats. There's 24,000 of you in Okaloosa County. Less than 4,000 have voted. So 20,000 people can take the opportunity on Tuesday and crash the polls. That's what you need to do. We know that it's a primary election, and it is unfortunately a time where people don't always go out. But this time, knowing everything that we talk about every single Sunday and knowing what you are actually living yourself. And if you're not experiencing it, I know you have a friend, a family member, a church parishioner, a neighbor down the street, or a community that you can see from your wonderful window that you know is struggling. And now is the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to do something. The Panhandle Coalition has a ballot that can show you who you can vote for, and maybe Derek will put that up and I'll go over that. The NAACP, it's really not NAACP, but Okaloosa County has a smart vote, has the same people on it that the Northwest Florida Panhandle Coalition chose. There is a strong sense of now is the time and we must do something. And the people on the ballot that you need to vote for are doing the work. And they're coming onto the show. They might not have been able to come to the Panhandle, but those that are on these pages, this thing that he just put up on the screen, Angie's been here 3-4 times to all of our areas. Earl Ford has been on this show. He was with the other caucuses. And some of the other ones, David Jolly's been here. And And then, of course, Linda and Brett are the ones that we're saying you should choose. The school board was very difficult in Okaloosa. It's a difficult race. These are the two that we think. We know Linda will stand up when need be, and Brett is the choice better than the opponent. And so what we're asking you is cast your ballot for Angie Nixon. Cast your ballot. Angie Nixon, by the way, just in case you didn't know, she's top of the ticket. Top of the ticket. Many people think the governor is, but it's not. It's the U.S. Senate. And Angie Nixon, you've seen, I think Derek showed last time where she's changing attire. Like, she's been all over the state of Florida, sometimes 2-3 times, traveling across the state at night, missed her child's first day of kindergarten to be up here, so then she'd go to Quincy so she could then go to the Keys. Like, this is someone who understands the fight because she lives it every single day. And I really liked what our CFO candidate Earl Ford said when he said, we need a new branding of what the Democratic Party looks like. It needs to be people that are fighting for us for real, not ones that just talk about it, not ones that are cherry picked or hand picked, but those that are actually doing the work. And it's not always the one who has the most money that is the right candidate. We learned that when we had the opportunity in 2018 to push Andrew Gillum over. And again, these candidates will rely on Northwest Florida, because we are in the Central time zone, to decide the race. So if they're neck and neck or close, it is the Panhandle in Central time zone that is open when they close at 7 because it's 6 here. So I know I've talked a little bit longer. Can't tell if Derek wants me to be quiet. But he should have given me a cue. He didn't. But I just want everybody, Okaloosa, Santa Rosa, Escambia, Walton County, like that is what they're going to look for. And I don't want to get the call and let them now with these numbers that we have right now. I want them to say, oh, wow, y'all went from the bottom to the, can we just get in the game? But can we say that? I'm just saying, because I don't know what you're playing. We're going to go with maybe you're playing Connect 4, because those are checkers, but you forgot we're playing checkers, the other game that you play with those little pieces. And so the way to show that is to show up and to go vote, because Connect 4 is not going to get it for us. It's really not. I need you to play checkers and then move to chess in November. Okay, I'm done for now. I'm just saying, let's go vote. If you need a ride, please reach out. You can call me directly. I will connect you with someone or come get you myself, 850-259-4735. I know that I can reach out to Ruby Dunson, who is with Blacks in Government in the NAACP. We will get you to the polls. All you have to do is reach out, but don't let us again sit where we have been sitting, where we are devastated Tuesday night or Wednesday morning because we chose to sit at home because we thought somebody else was going to do it, or better yet, some of you are saying you're going to wait till November. It's too late in November. I need you to do it now. So please go vote Tuesday, August 18th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thank you so much.
We need a critical mass of people to definitely for this election, for the primary and the general election, because if we don't, this country is in big trouble, and all of us are going to suffer the consequences of it, because elections has consequences. So hopefully many of the people who didn't vote early or by mail go to the polls this Tuesday and cast that ballot. It's only a few minutes, and most of the time it's not that crowded here that you can't go in there and vote in, especially, but you got to know your what precinct you're in and your polling place. So that's some places have changed, and I hope people have gotten the information on where they're going to be voting at. Some of these places that have changed, like the Fricker Center and other places where people used to vote, they're going to have to vote other places. So hopefully they get the memo. Back to you, Derek.
All right, so I have a couple of things, and like Jill said, what I will say is I'll just be honest. I feel shame because voter turnout is abysmal. Right now, we're at Escambia County at the end of early voting. Yesterday had 14% of registered voters to turn out to vote. 14%. But that still means that there are 86% of voters who have yet to go and cast a ballot in this election cycle. So I know we're on here talking, and I'm gonna feel sad if you do all this talking and only like 20% of people come out to vote. And you're like, well, what are we doing at this point in time? Well, we tried, but I'm gonna ask you guys to come out to vote. I just want to make you abreast of, if you're in Escambia County, some of the polling location changes for Escambia County. So if you are, some of the permanent changes, if you're a precinct 5 voter, your new location is the Klondike Church of Pensacola, which is 7201 Klondike Road. If you are in precinct 49, you are voting at Asbury Place, which was an early voting place right next to across the street from Wendy's and PJC on 9th Avenue. If you were precinct 77 voter, so all my folks who are in Warrenton Village, instead of going all the way across the street, having to cross Navy Boulevard and walk down Highway 98 to Pensacola State, you are now voting at Marino Court. So please, if you are precinct 77, you're at Lexington Terrace Community Center, 700 South Old Coreyfield Road. If you're a precinct 98 voter, you used to vote at Macedonia or St. John Devine, you're now at Bethel A&E, which is on Woodland Drive. Precinct 101, if you voted there, you're at Plainview. Your new location is the Haji Shriners Temple, or there on 9 Mile Road, 106. You're now voting at Holy Cross Episcopal. Temporary changes for precinct 14. If you voted at the Fricker Center, you now got to go down to the main downtown library on Spring Street. That's 239 North Spring Street. Precinct 70, if you were at Burgess Road Baptist Church, you're going to the gathering place at Pensacola Christian College. I have no earthly idea where that is, but that's where you're going to be. And changes from 2025. If you were at Century, you're now going back to the Bill G. Ward Courthouse on Century Boulevard. And if you're at Precinct 24, where your new location is St. John's Episcopal Church on Live Oak Avenue. So instead of Warrenton Church, you're going to St. John's Episcopal. And Precinct 31 folks are returning to Christ Church, which is at 18 West Wright Street. Just a couple of other announcements. On Tuesday, if you once you stand in line to go and vote, we'll ask you to please make your way over to there's a commemoration for Reverend Dr. H.K. Matthews. The community gathered to honor the life and legacy of Reverend Matthews. And that's on Tuesday, on Election Day, from 5 to 6 p.m. at the Reverend H.K. Matthews Park, which is on 12th Avenue, which I believe is at 12th and Hayes Street. So please join there at 5 o'clock. This Thursday, if you have an opportunity, which is August the 20th, please come out and hear from one of the candidates. His name is Joe Vinson. He is looking to become the next county commissioner for District 4. It's going to be Thursday, August the 20th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Fish House, which is right there off of Main Street. So come join there and come hear from Joe Vinson for our Escambia County Commissioner for District 4. Please make sure you join out. And then again, as Mr. McIntosh said, on Saturday for the Movement for Change fish fry. I want to take a moment, if you're in Escambia County, again, I've gotten calls all week. And so I want to make sure that you're aware of where we stand. So if you're in Escambia County, at the top of the ticket and you're voting for a Democrat and you have a Democratic ballot, please vote for Angie Nixon for United States Senate. Your next vote down will be for David Jolly for governor. The next vote down from that will be for Earl Ford, who we just heard from, for the CFO. And down from that will be Don Pritchard. Those are going to be on everybody's ballot, irrespective of where you live in Escambia County if you are a registered Democrat, those 4 seats. Now, depending upon where you live, you may have some school board candidates. If you're in Escambia County School Board District 1, you're going to vote for Aaron Toller. If you're in Escambia County School Board District 2, you're going to vote for Gerald Washington. If you're in Escambia County School Board District 3, Reverend Dr. Isaac Williams. And of course, if you are in the city of Pensacola, please cast your vote for Jermaine Williams. And on everybody's ballot in Escambia County, there is a referendum that says, should the Escambia County School Board Superintendent be elected by the majority of the qualified electors of Escambia County, please vote no for that. We want to make sure that we keep progress in Escambia County and we don't return to an elected superintendent. So if you want to keep an appointed superintendent where someone has some oversight and accountability, please make sure you vote no. That is the recommendation, to vote no on the referendum. Again, keep politics out of education and vote no on the referendum. That is this Tuesday, August 18th, at your various precincts. That is all that I have for that. We have about, 25 more minutes, and I guess we can talk about a couple of things here. Do I do it? So here in Florida, there's been a lot of Democratic infighting in Florida, particularly at the folks who are running for several of the congressional seats. There's some infighting at the top of the ticket. I won't say infighting because that makes it sound like all candidates are fighting, and that's not the case. There's a lot of nasty and venomous and vile texts and comments that are being made regarding candidates, particularly candidates of color, that I want to talk about. Let's talk about the first of which, we of course, of course, Angie Nixon is always there. Come back, Jill. Angie Nixon is always there, and she's gone through her trials and tribulations here. But there are a couple of other things. Number one, the race for, I would say, for Congressional District 22, 23, I don't know which one it is, that Jared Moskowitz is running against Democratic challenger Oliver Larkin. That race has gotten very vicious, heated, tumultuous. And folks, there was an event that was supposed to be scheduled last week for South Florida that included senatorial candidate Angie Nixon, where a sitting Democratic member of the Florida House of Representatives teamed up with MAGA Republican lunatic Laura Loomer to get the event canceled. And they're now running around calling Black folks and other folks anti-Semitic. Mr. McIntosh, what do you think about this?
I think anytime anybody disagree with the policies of the Netanyahu administration over in Israel, everybody is labeled anti-Semitic, which is not. We see what is taking place over there, whether it's in Gaza or Lebanon, and we see people are being lives are being destroyed, children's lives in hospitals and schools, and just a whole host of things taking place because of Trump and Netanyahu regimes that are for taking people property and killing people. And that's not anti-Semitic to criticize the leadership Netanyahu and others who are doing what they are doing to the people of Palestine and Lebanon and other people around that region. So no, it's not anti-Semitic, and we know that that's a label that they put on people when they don't want people to criticize the issues of what is going on. And so, no, that's not anti-Semitic. And on top of that, how can anybody support the killing of babies and women and children, and just destroying everything and causing the starvation and areas, blowing up people's homes with the whole families are being wiped out. So nobody should be supporting that, especially people that supposedly have come out of Germany, concentration camps and other things, but their campaign is to do the same thing to the individuals of that land that has happened to them. But I think that's a tragedy that a Democrat would be in cahoots with that lunatic that has done nothing but spread hatred and the propensity for violence in this country. So, yeah.
Jill?
I was hoping you were going to go next. So back to I think for me, I'm just tired, Derek. I'm tired of all of the ways that everybody finds to twist and turn things to the benefit of them that don't look like us. That's what I'm going to say to them. And then when we want to speak out and say, hey, what Alex Vindman's wife said about Angie, everybody's like, oh, hush, hush. No, it's not as bad as you guys are blowing up. It's not that bad. They took it down. You should say nothing. And then you have this, and I only saw parts of this. So I saw where Angie Nixon had to come on Facebook Live and say, yes, you guys are calling this out, and yes, you've threatened us, but we're still going to have the event. And so because I guess she said that, then they shut it down. But I think your perspective, because I know you and BJ had the opportunity to read through the state chats and all of the people saying stuff that I didn't actually see. That's why Derek made us go first, Mr. McIntosh, because he has the down low on everybody. He just wanted our opinions, and then he's going to break it down. So I'm going to get out of the way right now and let Derek just break it down for you. And then if I need to come in and say something else, I will. But voting on Tuesday can change all of this. That's what I'm going to tell you.
Let me just say, I don't know what you're talking about state chats, because as an informed citizen, all I'm doing is just reading what I see people are posting. Right?
So the state chat, people just talking.
Yeah, just people talking.
Yeah, right. So state chat is the
people around the state chat
across the state, statewide, from Escambia all the way down to the Keys, people having this conversation. And I have to be honest before he goes that this Friday, Saturday, Sunday has been horrific for me. So I have been trying to put my life back together. And so I've been a little, so when I say state chat, I just mean the chattery that goes across the state of Florida.
Correct.
And therefore he can share, because they did have a conversation. They do keep, we keep each other in tune because we're friends. But I missed some of it. And so maybe Derek can kind of give you some of the things that people are saying so that you can truly understand what's going on.
Yeah, no. So they, what I would say is that like I said, they canceled an event because one sitting Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, was supposed to be in attendance at this event, and she has been openly critical of Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz for entering the race, which is Congressional District 20, which is a Black access seat. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz is the furthest thing from Black. And so there's just been a lot of chatter around that. And the fact that they've attacked Democratic candidates, particularly a lot of the Black candidates are in the race. I know Bernard Taylor, who is running as a Democrat for a congressional seat down in South Florida, had just been labeled anti-Semitic. And it just so happens to always come from the folks who are sitting representatives or the people in that contingency of South Florida who, if for some reason you have, as Jill said, an opposition, or maybe it was you, Mr. Metz, I'm not sure, have an opposition or a differing point of view from someone of the Jewish faith, that automatically labels you anti-Semitic, right? And for the life of me, I don't understand it. Having a criticism that says it is, for it to be a Black access seat, it is inappropriate for Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz to be running in that seat, is my opinion. Does that make someone anti-Semitic or make me anti-Semitic for feeling like that? No. But to shut you up, people want to say, oh, you're anti-Semitic, and that's supposed to quench the noise, from this. And so what I will say is that people across the state of Florida have an opportunity to have their voice and heard in a loud way. And that's, for me, I find it abhorrent that folks in leadership or folks in these campaigns are not saying, So I hope that communities of color come together and actually speak with their votes, right? And tell people enough is enough. I am too. I am tired of being told that I can't say anything, or we don't have the right to say anything. But you see this stuff, and then you see people writing dissertations about democratic socialists and how they are, excuse me, I thought I had to sneeze, how they are, the downfall of the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, you got white candidates and their surrogates telling folks that they're not professional and buy professional shoes and buy professional clothes and calling people randomly anti-Semitic. It is abhorrent. And I, for one, am tired. And then even most recently, last week, we saw, even on the Democratic side, we saw a text message that was released by some unknown entity against Senator Shevrin Jones. For those who may know Senator Jones spoke at the Santa Rosa NAACP banquet, I believe it was last year. And he is was it 2 years ago? Last year? Okay, 2 years ago. And he was a sitting senator. He is now running for Congress to fulfill the seat that was held by Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. Senator Jones happens to be a Black gay man who is a Democrat. And they sent a malicious text that said he was, of all things, it said he was refused to donate blood. And I wanted to make sure I get it right. I don't know if I have it. Yeah. And it says Senator Jones, the text reads as follows. It says Senator Jones was denied to donate blood to COVID survivor due to testing positive for HIV/AIDS because he is a homosexual. This is not right. Stand with our gay community. Now, number one, Senator Jones is not HIV positive, but the fact that someone would actually or has AIDS, let me be clear. The fact that somebody would actually text that and put that on someone is absolutely disgusting. And then try to place the blame on another organization that endorsed him. And this is the stuff that Black candidates in 2026 are having to endure. It's sickening. It's absolutely madness. And I'm even gonna take a one, and I'm gonna jump over to the Republican side because there's a Black man who's running for House District 2 on the Republican side here, Trey McMullen, who Michelle Salzman, who is a sitting representative, said that you aren't worth anything, and put a meme that said "bitch, be gone." Like, it said you're going to be out here, you're going to be more irrelevant than the COVID vaccine in 3 days. This is crazy. This is what the same folks that did the sign. If you've lived here in Pensacola, you've seen where the director of library services and her idiot ass husband got on, went to a polling place at the downtown library in the middle of the day where people were, to try to cover up a Black man's sign. And now this lady had to resign from her job as director for library services. Let's be clear, she didn't deserve to have a job anyway, because we've been talking, if you follow anything about Escambia politics, you know the lady was the one unqualified to be the director of library services. But how stupid do you have to be as an individual to go in the middle of the day where there are people walking around with cell phones and cameras and all that stuff, where people are voting at the place of your employment? So you're the director of library services, and you're going to take your stupid ass outside along with your husband, who also works for the county, for the sheriff's department, and y'all going to cover up somebody's sign while people taking pictures like, and they're going to send them to people, and now your ass in hot water, you had to resign from your job. How stupid do you have to be to do that? These are the type of people that people elect and put into place simply because they have the word Republican behind the name. How stupid do you have to be? Like, you are dumb as dirt. You are dumb as a box of rocks. That's how stupid you are. But you're making it difficult. Now, I don't really care nothing about Trey McMullen. Excuse me, thank you. I don't care anything about his candidacy, but the fact that y'all would do that again to another Black man, gay, I guess if I were Trey, we were trying to tell you, you still Black. They don't want you. You know, why are you doing all shucking and jobbing? They don't want you. That should have been proof positive. If that wasn't proof positive, this post that this lady made on Twitter should have been proof positive. And you keep it like, oh, well, you know, they don't want you, and they're telling you that there's no room for Black folks. But we're seeing it also amongst Democrats. And I, for one, am tired of it. It's time for folks to show them something. Show them a little something. That's all I, Mr. Mack, that's what you think.
Yeah. It's really sad that the so-called established Democrats going against people that has the potential to win. The Democrat socialists is what people are looking for. They're looking for fighters. You know, the same thing we've been talking about on this show. They're looking for people who are fighters, at least have the potential to be a good fighter, and to stand up and speak out against issues that are concerning to the people who are voting for them. And there's just so much going on that it's really a shame and really sad that the Democrat Party is and people that's in the Democrat Party, I would say, is doing that to other Democrats who have the propensity to win, a campaign. I mean, to win this thing, and because we need a diversity of people that's going to push people to do what they need to do. And that's unfortunate that we're falling into this trap, I guess.
And I don't have anything against democratic socialists. I do think some of their policies are a bit odd. Like, well, I'm going to say policies. Maybe stances are a bit, is probably the better way to phrase it. Like just this week, they made a statement commemorating 100 years of Fidel Castro and regarding him as a charismatic and something leader. Yeah, like that's a little strange,
But is it them or is it somebody posing as?
No, well, it's on their official page, so I don't know.
Yeah,
You know, that type of stuff is a little bit strange. I don't understand that, but maybe I'm not supposed to understand it because I'm not a democratic socialist, so I'm not in their organization, right? But it's tiring. It's tiring. So for the Black candidates, and candidates in general, but particularly these Black candidates who are having to endure the harshness of running just to stand up to make Florida or make wherever they're running better. Like, I salute you. I hope people are standing with you on Tuesday, August 18th. That is what I will say. Let's do what we can to get them across the country.
I was going to say, Derek, if the Democrat socialists that get elected is going to be like Mondani, that's a great thing, because what he's doing in New York is just absolutely awesome. And that's what we need. We need somebody that's going to look at this from a different point of view, I guess, and look at the people from the bottom up, not just from the top down, because it never get down to the people at the bottom, or the middle class, because everything trickles up. It's supposed to be trickling down, but it trickles up, and it's moving at massive amount of funds from our potential to have a better life in this country, especially young working people. People who are looking to get into the job market, stuff, everything is being taken from them.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to hit on, since 2000, there has been 70 hangings in this country since 2000. And every one of them has been adjudicated, even before it get to an investigation. It says a suicide. I think if it was either today or yesterday, somebody was hanged in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina. A young man was hung down there, and they are saying these are suicide. But the young lady that was hung, it was so high, she was so high in the tree that they had to go to get a fire truck to get her down. So there's no way that she climbed that tree, hung herself, and this is in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi, and a lot of these things that are going down, Black people are being hunted, and that's why I say Black people should not go anywhere by themselves if they can help it, unless it's an emergency, especially traveling at night. Especially young men and women who travel a lot at night, they don't need to be out there by themselves. They need to be, you need to be with somebody that maybe can help, because we're being hunted now. And law enforcement is acquiescing by saying, this is not a lynching, this is a suicide. Even before the body is cold, even before there's an investigation, they're saying that it's a suicide. And then Trump have given them carte blanche, these terrorists and police misconduct that's taking place in our communities around the country. And now they're going to spend $20 million on some taser gloves, I call them, supposed to give you electric shock that causes serious pain and suffering. These and the people that are already using these tasers, they are ruthless savages. What they are doing to people and separating families and killing people, shooting people for executing people without a trial on the street, because these are the people that Trump and put on the streets that's supposed to be at the border, should never be in any cities or anywhere else, because these are people don't have any training in law enforcement, and and I guess that's the cruelty of it. That's what they want. The cruelty is the policy, you know. But to not do anything about the lynchings that's taking place in this country, it's really, really taking us back to an era that's, to Jim Crow, when people was hanging people at will, and that's what's happening now. Since 2070 people have been lynched in this country, and all of them has been told, "Oh, these are suicide." No, they're not. How a man gonna hang himself 15 to 20 foot in the air? Gracious. Who go to the store and buy a rope? Oh, I'm gonna go buy a rope. If that was the case, why did they do an investigation? Say, where did he get the rope from? What was the last? Because you cameras in every store. All you gotta do is go to different stores and see if he or she bought the rope, and who walk around with a rope around their neck or on their shoulder or in their bag. That don't even make sense. So I digress, though.
You're absolutely right. It's time to fight the good fight. And fighting the good fight means you have to get out and go and vote. So
yeah.
Good people, maybe we can put medical examiners in place and folks who actually are concerned about Black lives and folks, and stop allowing us to be expendable.
Since we're talking about that, I definitely want to promote this book again, Without Sanctuary. There's a book called Without Sanctuary. It's got lynchings and photographs and all of that on lynching in here. So, and it's telling you how it was done and everything else. So people need to read that and see all of, and what people did is send postcards. We don't know if they're doing it now or not. We don't know. Somebody is killing our people, and they are doing it while they are by themselves. I know our time is about up, but
it is now 9:00. Everybody, please make sure on Tuesday you go and vote. If you have a mail-in ballot, do not mail it back. Please just go and vote on Tuesday, or you can go to your local supervisor of elections and turn it in there if you don't have the time to wait in line. But do not put it in the mail. Go and vote. Look for your precinct. If you have questions, call Jill, call myself, call BJ, call whomever, so they can tell you where you need to go vote. And please make sure you go and vote. Have a good night, everybody. We will see you back next week. Take care.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.